us harness the power of technology responsibly and ethically to address societal challenges, promote equality of opportunity, and foster a culture of innovation and excellence. In conclusion, I am very confident that this youth chapter will serve as a catalyst for positive change, inspiring generations to come and leaving a lasting impact on our digital society. Together, let us embark on this exciting journey with enthusiasm, determination, and a shared vision of a brighter and more connected future. It is therefore my singular honor and privilege to officially launch the Smart Africa Youth Chapter for Malawi. I thought you'd be clapping hands. You're not excited? I thank you all for your attention, and may God bless Malawi and God bless our beautiful continent, Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our guest of honor. Very powerful words there. I hope we have taken a few things. We are the architects of the digital future. I hope we remember this, and we've been told to be curious and to be bold in our pursuit. We are going to have our group photograph. May I ask our photographers to please set up? We'll have them in front. Our photographers, may we please set up for the group photo? May I ask our guest of honor to please come in front? May I also ask DG for Smart Africa, DG for Macra, the Vice President of the Youth Caucus of Parliament, and Mr. Paul Katema. Thank you so much, guest of honor, and all our distinguished guests. You can take your seats. And thank you to our students as well who came to take our group photo. Now we shall have the SADA for Youth video.
In a world where the future belongs to the digital savvy, Africa recognizes the urgency of inclusion and economic growth. The Smart Africa Digital Academy, SADA for Youth, emerges as a beacon ushering in a transformative era for the youth, entrepreneurs and SMEs across the continent. With the world's largest potential labor force by 2035, Africa is poised to become a services production. SADA for Youth stands ready to harness this potential by providing cutting-edge strategies for youth education and skills development.
We are working on the sound. We apologize for that. All right, let us move on to our next item. I think let me ask Dr. Raf to make his presentation. Dr. Raf, I'm told, is on his way. He's coming. We can maybe move on to the panel discussion session. We can move on to the panel discussion session. May I ask our panelists, our first panelist who I'm going to call up on stage is going to be our guest of honor, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Ochizin Kandawire. We are going to have DG for Smart Africa. May we please take seats up in front for our panel discussion. As our moderator, Mona Lisa is also getting set. May I also call upon DG for Macron, Mr. Daud Suleiman, and our youth representative to also come in front, Wezi Salima, who's also our team lead for the Mweni Fund. Let me also call Mr. Paul Katema, who is representing Ministry of Information.
All protocols have been observed. So good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our panel session this afternoon. Our panelists have already been invited to the front. So this is a 30 minutes panel session, and then later on we shall have 10 minutes for a Q&A session. So as you're all aware, the theme for this launch is embracing the digital transformation journey as we launch the Smart Africa Youth Chapter in Malawi. And for this particular panel discussion, our title is The Role of the Youth in the Digital Transformation Journey. I believe the youth were interested to know that, yes, Smart Africa is being launched in Malawi, but what is our role in this digital transformation journey? So before I start, I'd like to welcome our panelists to our panel discussion. This should be an interactive panel session, and I'd like to give each one of you a minute to at least give us a brief about yourself and your journey to this point in your career. So we shall start with Mr. Paul Katema, and then we go on. Yeah.
Thank you very much, moderator. Briefly, my journey. I've worked. I've worked in the banking sector. I've also worked in NGO sector, as well as IT company in Kenya, in South Sudan, and also in Malawi. And apart from being employed, I've also run a couple of startups. Currently, I'm working as director of e-government. And a few months back, I was heading the government-wide area network, popularly known as GWAN, which is this is the network that connects all the government institutions in Malawi. So briefly, that's my journey in terms of the ICT space. Thank you.
So, I am Muchizi Mkandawire. I'm a politician. I was motivated to be a politician when I was in Form 3 in secondary school. Okay. I'm a civil engineer by profession. After I graduated from college, I worked for about 7 years just to establish myself economically, to provide a footing for myself so that I could pursue my career as a politician. And today, I'm a member of parliament representing the people of Karonga South, and I am privileged to be the minister responsible for youth and sports. So I'm living my dream. Thank you.
Well, is it working? Yeah. Yeah, my name is Lassina Kone. I am from Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa. I am the CEO and the Director General of Smart Africa, based in Kigali, a Pan-African organization which was created 10 years ago in 2013 and endorsed by the African Union by 2014. Professional by training, I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, and I have a master's degree in data communication engineering, and I have an MBA from George Washington University. Spent many years in America. I can't tell you the years, so you're gonna guess my age. I came back to Africa about 13 years ago to be able to contribute to developing our continent. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Daud Suleiman. Currently, I serve as the Director General of MACRA, the communications sector regulator in Malawi. But before that, I was working for Nico Holdings as Group Head of Technical Services, and before that, I worked as Chief Information Officer for NBS Bank, and before that, I worked as Chief Information Officer for OIBM, and before that, I was playing basketball up and down. So, yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. I am Winnie Salima. I am working as the team lead for Muni Fund, which is the ICT Innovation Fund. I am an economist by training. I graduated from University of Malawi in 2022, and I'm now working as the team lead for this fund. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your inspiring stories and your journeys. Now we'll go straight into our panel session, and the first question is directed to the Director General of Smart Africa, Mr. Lassina Kone. We would like to know, you have just given us a speech about Smart Africa, what has been achieved to this day, but we would like you to elaborate what specific initiatives as well as strategies have been set apart by Smart Africa to ensure youth are the key beneficiaries of the Smart Africa's vision of transforming Africa into a single digital market.
Thank you very much. Before I actually answer that question, I would like to, for it to be, it's about you, this panel is not about us. Since it's about you, I would like you to raise your hand. How many of you watch national news on the TV in the evening? Raise your hand. One. You see? How many of you follow the news on social media? You see? That is the difference of generations right there. Our time, we used to wait 8 p.m. in the evening to watch the news, right? They are watching the news on the fly. They don't have time to sit at 8 p.m. to watch. Smart Africa was created 10 years ago by 7 heads of the state: the President of Rwanda, President Kagame, Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, Salva Kiir of Museveni, first of all, of Uganda, and Salva Kiir of South Sudan, and Bongo of Gabon, and Ibeka of Mali, and Blaise Compaoré of Burkina Faso. 7 heads of the state that sat down sometime in October 2013. They said, if we do not have an accelerator organization for the continent, we will not be able to catch up for the 4th industrial revolution. How many of you knows about a 4th industrial revolution? Raise your hand. Thank you. How many of you wake up in the morning, the first thing you watch, you look at your phone, it's a WhatsApp? Raise your hand. You see? So, the 4th industrial revolution, basically in a nutshell, the wealth of the country is no longer evaluated by the natural resources you have. In fact, when we say GDP, gross domestic product, is no longer GDP. It's a growth data product. How many footprints you create every day on those social media, on those different technology platforms, that is used to target you at the end of the day as a customer. The 5 top companies in the world today, the big tech company, 5 of them together, the revenue is bigger than the 50 biggest telecom company in the world. 5 companies created less than 20 years ago. Where did they get the wealth from? It's from your data. So in order for Africa to face the 4th industrial revolution, the continent needed to have an accelerator organization. That's why Smart Africa was put into place with the only 5 manifesto. 1, put the ICT at the center of our social economic development. I've asked a few questions. Every single day the ICT is sitting, you're using ICT every day. How do we put the ICT at the center of social economic development? 2, how do we use ICT to promote transparency, accountability? 3, how do we increase the broadband connectivity? Number 4, all what we do in this, we said private sector first. What does that actually mean? Our head of the state, for your information, Smart Africa grew from 2013 from 7 countries. Today we are close to 40 countries. We comprises of a 1.2 billion population. From this dynamic and this momentum. Number 4, put the private sector first. It means government should be creating a conducive environment for businesses to flourish in Africa. And number 5, how do we leverage on all above for digital transformation using our young people? Today, about 70% of our continent populations is less than 20 or 30 years old. What do we do for them? They don't think like us. These are the Z generations. They talk to Siri, they talk to I don't know what. They use the AI. You can't lie anymore to your son. Let me give you a story. I was in transit in Dubai. My son called me up. I was on the plane. He said, Dad, I need to get Sony PlayStation 5. I said, you know what? Wait until I get to Paris. It's cheaper. He went online on the Google. He pulled the prices in Dubai, and he sent it to me while I'm on the plane. Can I lie to him anymore? No. Whenever your dad or your mom tells you anything at home, you want to verify, you go to Google. It means it is a generation which is actually very fast. So how do we face that? So with this demographic, you have to know that we have a demographic advantage, which is a very good young people, but it's a socially minority. It means inclusivity. How many people have internet access on the continent? It's about 46%. So for all of these reasons, Smart Africa was created to be able to work with our country members, the Minister of ICT, the Minister of Youth, regulators, to set the proper laws, proper reform, to be assisting, to be exactly a technical assistant in the back pocket of the government to see exactly how do we do this and to share the best practice. And we came to realize in order to transform, in fact, the digital transformation, first of all, is about transformation of mindset. Let me tell you something. Digitalization is not about scanning document to make it electronic. No. Digitalization is about transforming the way we live with the technology. There's a big difference. It's not because you have a scanner, I need to scan the document, then I'm actually digitalized. No. It's transforming because it brings a lot of efficiency. But in order to transform, transformation itself is about transformation of mindset. For example, before, in the Malawi here, if you used to go maybe to see your parents like every 3-4 months, now you have a WhatsApp call. It's a different way of meeting, but it's meeting online. How do we face that? How do we face these new challenges? For all of these reasons, Smart Africa was created, specifically Smart Africa Digital Academy. So we came to realize, focusing on the capacity building for our youth, it should be #1 priority. And within SADA, then we have a youth chapter. SADA addresses, actually, we're going to cover it. It addresses about 5 different layers. Decision makers, which are people who make the law. We have a tendency to believe that, people who make the law, they understand the technology. It's not true. They need to be informed. Advanced technical, people who have been working for the government for the past 20, 15, 28, 20, 25 years. We have sets of training for those. Then we have a youth chapter. What do we do with the youth chapters? You guys are using a Snapchat. Anyone know about Snapchat? Snapchat, raise your hand. You don't know about Snapchat? Snapchat is like Instagram, was created by someone who was 18, 17 years old. The next Snapchat maker could be from this crowd. So this is all about Smart Africa. So I just want to be very short. Thank you.
Thank you, Digi Smart Africa, for sharing about the SADA platform that we have, as well as the Smart Africa Youth Chapter that we have just launched here in Malawi. But then I would also like to hear from our Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Nkandariri. How does your ministry prioritize youth empowerment within the digital transformation agenda? And maybe you can also shed light on what initiatives have been put in place in order for this to take place.
Well, thank you for that question. As a ministry, we do realize that we are living in the digital age. So my ministry has prioritized digital transformative agenda as one avenue for sustainable youth empowerment in several ways. Firstly, the recently launched National Youth Policy, the one that we are implementing in 2023 to 2028, has science, technology, and innovation as one of its priority areas. There is recognition and acknowledgement in the policy that there is an urgent need to popularize science, technology, and innovation, and motivate young people, and more particularly amongst girls, as critical agents of change, to access and exploit the benefits of science, technology, and innovations in order to spearhead the national socio-economic development. This provides a blueprint for government and all stakeholders to accelerate provision and access of science, technology, and innovation across all spaces of programming. Additionally, the ministry is implementing a number of interventions that promote youth's access to ICT and other digital services. For instance, the ministry is implementing the Youth Connect platform, also originating from Rwanda, that among other areas promotes innovations in digital technology and AI. This is a continental platform that connects young people to learn, collaborate, and access opportunities for their ideas and innovations. It is pleasing to note that previous Malawi winners at the annual Youth Connect Symposium have all innovated digital solutions. Furthermore, under the National Youth Services Program, the ministry is supporting youth groups that are establishing enterprises in ICT through skills training and provision of startup equipment. In addition, the ministry continues to collaborate with various stakeholders to accelerate access to digital solutions and opportunities through business acceleration, capacity building, and promoting multi-sector partnerships that finance, support, and capacitate young people in science, technology, and innovation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. And I believe the youth, maybe it's our first time hearing some of these initiatives that the Ministry of Youth has, but I believe we'll also take time to go and research more about these initiatives so that we can also be part of them. And also now moving to the Ministry of Information and Digitization, Mr. Paul Katema. I'd like to know, what role does the ministry play in supporting digitization efforts in Malawi, specifically for the youth?
Specifically for the youth?
Yes.
Okay. So the Ministry of Information and Digitization has been implementing one of the key digitization projects called the Digital Malawi Project. And one of the components in the Digital Malawi Project is Lunta Ndichuma initiative. In Lunta Ndichuma initiative involves giving grants to tech hubs so that they are capacitated to go out there and train the masses in terms of digital skills and mass digital literacy. As I am speaking now, the government has spent over $2 million in today's Malawi kwacha, which is a huge amount of money, just to support hubs and make sure the masses are trained in digital skills. Why is this so important? As my colleagues have already mentioned, the importance of being smart in modern days. However, for people to participate in this digital economy, they need to know what to do in that space. So, as the ministry, we have invested so much in digital skills just to make sure we keep on narrowing the digital divide. Thank you.
Okay, now, just to add on to that, okay, now that Smart Africa Youth Chapter has been launched in Malawi, what are some of the ways that the ministry can now collaborate with Smart Africa to ensure that digitization is being advanced in the country?
Thank you very much. Actually, the ministry has already been involved in this Smart Africa initiative, including the actual signing when Malawi was actually joining the Smart Africa. The ministry, through our colleagues also from MACRA, we've been engaging Smart Africa, and we believe the goals of Smart Africa are not very much different to the government's digitalization agenda. And it's a matter of collaborating and making sure we're pushing in the same direction. So any initiatives that Smart Africa can bring now, definitely there is already a slot within the ministry to be able to support that initiative and push it, because at the end of the day, the goal is to digitally transform Malawi, digitally transform Africa. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Now moving to our regulator, our Director General of MACRA. How does MACRA contribute to fostering innovation and promoting entrepreneurship in the ICT sector?
Thank you very much, Mona Lisa. MACRA by law is mandated to provide an equal playing field where every Malawian has access to our natural resource, which is called spectrum, and also the fruits and the services that are born out of there. And that then brings about the need that we should equalize the playing field. The first thing that we're doing at MACRA is that we're walking the talk. So we have the youth as an important agenda, and we've made it sure that the youth are indeed taking a leading role. So Muni Fund that you see, the banners that are around here, that is our research and innovation fund, which we run within the regulator. That fund, as of the last financial year, it was 500 million Malawi kwacha. Last thing before we had a devaluation, that was $500,000 that we put up for our research and innovation purposes in Malawi. But what's very important is that this young lady here is the CEO who is managing that 500 million Malawi kwacha, and that's her colleague, and there's another colleague over there. I think average age is 23 years old. So we have 23-year-olds that are deciding and driving the innovation and research agenda, because even me, I'm 43, 44 years old. I'm a bit old compared to what these guys are coming up with. So we are not just talking about the youth should be involved in the innovation sector. We have exposed the youth and we've given them the latitude that they should come up with ideas and they should run with things. In so doing, we've realized that we do need to have a strong regulatory and legal framework that should protect these innovations. And this is why we are in the process of coming up with a new bill, which is called Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We are targeting the July sitting of Parliament this year, and I'm glad that I have two votes on this bill. The Honorable Minister is a member of Parliament and the Deputy Chairperson of the Youth Caucus. This bill is going to introduce a structured way in which, as Malawi, we take account of our intellectual property, how as Malawi we facilitate for incubation of those ideas. As Malawi, how do we facilitate for acceleration of these ideas so that we can have a structured way of accessing funding to our ideas. This bill is going to pretty much change the game on how we deal with innovation in this country, and most importantly, it is going to lead to a knowledge-based economy based on a structure that is defined, that is scalable, and most importantly, that is protecting our youth as they venture into becoming startups and SMEs. And further to that, through the regulator, we are constructing 100 ICT labs as we speak, 193 ICT labs. In each constituency, we are in the process of constructing, and I'm sure, Honorable, you have one that is under construction, and I'm sure, Honorable, you also have one that is under construction. The purpose there is to ensure that every kid, wherever we are, they should have access to ICT services, and they should be able to walk to an ICT lab where they can touch, feel a computer, and play around with it. Our idea is that by the end of the next 2 financial years, we should have 500 ICT labs that have been constructed across the country. Each lab will contain 40 PCs, and that in its own begins to change the game, because now a kid in a rural area can actually walk to a certain place where they can interface with technology. That is on one side, and on the other side, we are working with the Ministry of Education to ensure that we review the public school curricula in primary school to introduce digital citizenship and digital literacy in public schools. We are doing this to ensure that there is no digital gap that is being created by kids that are going to private schools versus kids that are going to public schools. At the secondary school level, we are working with the ministry to introduce Python as a mandatory subject in secondary schools. The idea is to ensure that we have kids that can interface with a computer at a production level. Instead of us just being consumers of computer products, can we open up the space so that we have kids that can begin to interact with a computer using programming languages to play around with things, and then produce new products, produce new apps. But as they produce those new apps, we have a legal and regulatory framework that is also protecting them. And finally, through the regulator, Malawi is establishing innovation villages. These innovation villages are going to be places where a kid that has an idea can walk there and access a number of resources and a number of services that would help them to build up these projects. The first 2 villages that are coming up, one is in Sanje, and the second one is at the Mvera Innovation City, which will be coming up in this financial year. But those 2 are going to give us a space where local innovators can walk and have access to facilities, and have access to counseling, and have access to skills build up, so that their innovations are ready for market, and not only for the Malawian market, but we are targeting an African and a global market. Thank you.
Very well done.
Hearing what the Director General has just said, I believe that the digital transformation journey for the youth should be easier with all these initiatives that have been stated by the Director General. So now moving on to our youth representative, Ms. Salima, I would like to know, from your perspective, how can young people actively contribute to shaping the digital future of Africa?
Thank you for that. Firstly, I think for us young people, the first thing that we need to do is to change our mindsets. We have grown up with a mentality whereby you go to school, you finish your secondary education, you finish your tertiary education, you look for a good job, and you settle with that good job. But as shared by my fellow panelists here, there are many other avenues that we can look at that do not involve us taking the so-called traditional route. We can look at more innovative ways of making our lives better. We can look at entrepreneurship. We can look at so many other different avenues that are available for us, that are available to us, such as this one, whereby we will be able to showcase not only our ingenuity, but our hands-on talent. By showcasing these so-called innovations and these ideas that we are developing individually, we can have these platforms whereby we start to showcase what we are doing. We start to showcase what our minds can do aside from what is taught in school. So the biggest thing that us youth need to do is to change our mindsets from taking up a traditional route to looking at more modern, to looking at more innovative ways we can use with our time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Now, I'd like to give each one of you 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. What encouraging words would you tell the youth that are present here as we move towards this digital transformation journey? Any encouraging words that you would tell these youth today? So I'll start with you, Mr. Pokatema.
Encouraging words?
Oh, okay. Oh, we can start with Ms. Salim and then we go.
Okay, thank you. As a youth to a fellow youth, my word of encouragement would be, once you find an opportunity, take your full hands on it and run with it. You never know what doors will open from the simplest opportunity that you have. For instance, we are sat here in this room. You are in the presence of Director General of MACRA. We're in the presence of Director General of Smart Africa. We're in the presence of a minister. We're in the presence of different senior officials that are available. Let's use these opportunities to take this opportunity and to run with it. Introduce yourself, make yourself known, make yourself important. Feel important, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance that I don't think we'll get anytime soon. So let's make use of that. Thank you.
For me, I think we need to realize that the landscape has changed. Opportunities have become so vast. The world has become so small. You have the power to impact and change the world from Malawi. You don't have to have a passport for you to be employed by Google. You don't have to have a passport for you to have a job at Microsoft. All of these are opportunities that you can have. So why not? You know, stand up and step up. And you know, now is the time. Thank you.
Mine is a tough one. Your majority of you starting to go to school to get a degree, right? The degree doesn't get you a job. Do you know that? The degree, university degree, doesn't get you a job. Your gift and your talent gets you a job. Your curiosity gives you a job. How many PhDs and how many master's degrees, how many bachelor degrees are out there without actually any job? The education helps you to think. That's all the education does. It structures your way of thinking. But actually what you're going to do in your career could become something very different. Every single one in this room among young people, you are all gifted. Then you need to know what are you gifted with. If you do enough research into Google, you're certainly on Google more than me. Do you guys know that the Google and Amazon, they don't hire based on qualification anymore? They don't ask you the university degree. You know that? Anyone know that? Raise your hand. If you apply for any job at Amazon, do they ask you any bachelor degree? If you ask for a job at Meta, do they ask any bachelor degree? But they know that education is necessary. It only helps you to think. They're looking for your talent. The talent is actually what we do, youth chapter. How many of you knows about blockchain? Raise your hand. No, you're not a young Ralph. How many of you knows about AI? So you use ChatGPT? Your people are using ChatGPT, huh? So you guys, how many people using ChatGPT? It's a very different way. The world is changing. My advice to you to move forward. Education only allows you to think properly, to structure a way of thinking. But that does not necessarily mean you're gifted with that. Every single one in this room is gifted. Then you need to find out what are you gifted with. Thank you.
So what I could say is that as young people, we really need to work on mindset change. As my colleagues have already said, there are so many opportunities out there, but it takes one to see and make use of those opportunities. Because as young people, everyone looks up to the government. The government is not employing us. Okay? There's no way the government is going to employ everyone. We have to look at ourselves. What is it that we can offer? Because somebody said you should not look at what the government can do for you, but what you can do for your government. We say young people, we are more than 50%. What is our population? The population of Malawi, we are talking of close to 20 million. It means we have 10 million young people. And all of us, we just want to carry our papers to some offices and look for employment.
Yes.
That's not going to happen. Let us be innovative. Let us be creative as young people. Then we will make it. Otherwise, if we don't change our mindset and we always look forward to somebody employing us, then we are going to wait forever. While others are making it in agriculture, others are making it in ICT, we'll just be there trying to look for connections to get employed. Thank you.
As a word of encouragement, moderator, allow me to echo what the DG Makra said in his speech, where he was talking around, he was talking towards the lines that the only eco space is the digital space. So it doesn't matter you're in Malawi, it doesn't matter you're in UK or whatever the country is. It is an eco environment which provides equal opportunities. If what it means is the same way the Americans created Google, WhatsApp, it's also possible for Malawians to actually produce products that the world can use. So that touches on what Honorable Minister was talking about in terms of job creation. You can actually get a job abroad if you have the skills. You can actually create your own company if you have the skills. So the opportunities are so endless. It is now the time, and it's no longer the way that we've been using to say technology is the future. No, technology is needed now. So it is time to venture into technology, do something, and sell it to Malawi, and sell it to Africa, and sell it to the world. Thank you very much.
I believe after that fruitful panel session, we the youth are now aware of what our role is in this digital transformation journey. Are we all aware of our role now? Now we know what to do when we go out there. Yeah, so after this panel session, I'd like to take questions from the audience. So I think we can take 3 questions. So if anyone has a question, we'll take 3 questions and then they'll answer. So do we have any questions?
Don't be afraid. If you don't have a question, I have a question for you. You laugh there. Yes, yes. Someone has.
Right. I'm Gibson Kandaire from Rwanda. I have a question. My question is, we are talking about ICT and access to information through online. As a country, we have a challenge in terms of the prices, the rates of our data bundles, and the validity of the data bundles. So my question is to both MACRA and Minister of Information, what measures are you putting in place so that as youth we have greater rates and easy access to such challenges that we meet? Thank you.
Do you have any other question? Yes, there's a hand there.
Okay. My question is that what strategies are in place to ensure inclusivity and accessibility for all Malawian youth, including those in rural areas?
With a question.
Okay, my question is, what strategies are in place to ensure inclusivity and accessibility for all Malawian youth, including those in rural areas?
Inclusivity and accessibility.
And then the last question. Oh, we don't have any ladies with burning questions. They all seem to be men. Oh, okay.
Okay. My name is Edgar Gilinde from Dang University. So my question is, we are here, of course, we are talking more about the digital transformation, mainly concerning ICT.
I cannot hear.
Okay. My name is Edgar Gilinde from Dang University. My question is on digital transformation. Of course, we know we are talking more about ICT, but how will this digital transformation help our country in terms, like in other departments, like the health sector and other departments which we have here in Malawi, despite the ICT department?
What was the question in here?
Okay, so we've heard our 3 questions. The first question was going directly to DG Macro as well as the Minister of Information to do with affordable data bundles for the youth. So I think.
Thank you very much for that question. I think 2 years ago, Malawi had the most expensive data in Africa, verified independently. But as of late last year, the same sources did a survey and they found out that we in Malawi now have the least expensive data in Africa. So that shows you that there is something that we've been doing that has enabled us to lower the price. Being cheaper at an African context does not mean it's affordable at a Malawian context. But it is very important for us to have a checkpoint and a checkmark that we're working towards. So first of all, MNOs have whitelisted all educational and academic websites. They are zero rated. That means if Luana has a website, you don't need to have a data bundle for you to access that. That means it opens up access to open and distance learning, that even someone who doesn't have data, they can still connect. The coming in of new internet broadband operators such as Starlink in Malawi will help us to lower further the cost due to market forces and competition, and we've seen that already happening. There's a lot of interest with Starlink, and a lot of people are moving towards Starlink, and there is a reaction on the market. Further to that, we have just licensed community broadband operators under a new brand called Yatu Yatu Data. These community broadband operators will operate in districts and in rural areas. The whole point with these operators is that they should provide cheaper alternative data bundles to the people. Whilst you can connect with your Airtel and TNM, now there's going to be a third option that you can use, which is the Yatu Yatu Data. As of now, they're finalizing setting up, and very soon they'll be rolling out their services that you can now use that as an alternative. So the fight towards affordability of data in Malawi is something that will be ongoing. We are not happy that we're just the least expensive in Africa, but we would want to have meaningful connectivity that is being extended to the youth, and especially those in rural areas. I think let me stop there, and then the other questions, my colleagues can address them. I think the last one, DG Connie, was on digital transformation. How does digital transformation...
Yeah, the gentleman here, how does the digital transformation in other sector? I will answer that by answering a few questions. When you were born in a hospital, right? Even if you're not born in a hospital, you're born home. The first document, which is a birth certificate, who gave that to you? The government. When you reach the age of 6, you want to go to the pre-K or primary school. When your mom and dad don't want to register you, what do they ask you? Your birth certificate. But who gave it to you in the beginning? The government. So why the government asks you something, they are the one who made it? That's where digitalization comes from. Single source of truth. If the government gives you a birth certificate from the beginning, why the government should be asking you if you want to register school or if you want to go anywhere else? If the government was digitalized, the only thing the government will need to know is authenticate and that this is really you. The authentication usually start at the age of 12, 13 when you start developing proper fingerprints. Digitalization is not vertical. Digital transformation has never been vertical. It's transversal. It's just like a vein, our blood vein on the body. Agriculture has a digitalization. You're going to tell me how? The satellite data. I will give you an example. Our fathers and our grandfathers, they are used to what? If they have a land, if here, what's the most, the agricultural sector, what area you guys are? Tobacco. They used to plant tobacco just on arbitrary distance. So the yields per tobacco farm, let me give you an example. If you have a 1 acre, maybe from 1 acre traditionally you make maybe 10 tons. But with the technology, it can show you if you plant it otherwise, you can get to 20 ton out of 1 acre. Traditionally, when we said we have a seasonal fruits, vegetable in agricultural sector, we are assuming we're relying solely on what? On the rain. But that's not true. One, you can do an automated irrigation system. Two, you can do today irrigation by drone. Has it ever occurred to you how the journalists were taking the pictures on the helicopter? You have to rent a helicopter with a journalist on the camera to film. Today a drone can do it. In fact, you've seen today, 3 days ago, where Iranians sent a drone weapon for 9 hours traveling in the sky. That's agriculture. Education. When the COVID hit, where were you? You were at home. Some of you who have internet access, what were you doing? Zooming. You were doing online education, right? There was no physical classes. Country that was properly wired with the broadband, they were doing online classes. That's ICT in education. Health sector. In Malawi, what's the rate for population per doctor? In Niger, for example, is 20,000 people per one doctor. Patients living in rural area, how they get the triage when they get sick? Before they get really sick, they want to know, they want diagnosis. They do it using telemedicine. Again, that's what? That's ICT. Transportation. You're going to tell me how transportation? How do you convert a transportation sector into cashless? It's happening in Rwanda. Tap and go. You streamline the revenues. What's the tap and go mean? No more cash in the buses. Tell me what other sector? There is no single sector surrounding us today that is not using ICT. So ICT is not vertical. Even in sport, ICT is not vertical. In fact, one of the money making gaming today is ICT. As I said to you, when you wake up first in the morning, what do? You told me you read your WhatsApp, right? You're not making money, someone else is making money off you. Thank you.
The last question was on what initiatives and strategies have been put in place to ensure inclusivity for those in rural areas. So I believe maybe the Minister of Youth should take that question.
Yeah, I think on that one, the DG has already touched on that one because as of now, if you compare today, this is 2024, compare it with where we are coming from, maybe 2012, thereabouts, you'd never see anybody in the rural areas with a WhatsApp phone. Okay? There is a very big change as we have progressed. There's 4G now in the rural areas, and all young people today in the rural areas, you find that they've got smartphones, almost everyone. They're able to communicate on WhatsApp and stuff like that. So everyone is being taken on board by making sure that we have network in all corners of Malawi. So no one is going to be left behind. Everyone is going to be taken on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, this is the end of our panel session, and I'd like to thank our panelists for such an engaging and such an enlightening panel session. But also, I believe that now the youth were ready to embark on this digital transformation journey, as we have heard the different roles that we have to play for us to take part in this digital transformation. So thank you so much, our panelists. Thank you.
Another round of applause for our panelists. we are going to have an amendment to our agenda. We missed a presentation on the introduction of Smart Africa and its vision. So we are going to have that presentation, and this presentation is going to be coupled with the presentation about Smart Africa Youth Chapter and the SADA platform. So now I'm going to hand over to Dr. Ralph and Patrick to take us through these two presentations.
Good afternoon. How are you feeling? Good? All right. You're gonna, you have it. So, is it not, okay. So while we're waiting for the presentation, the slides to show, let me introduce myself. My name is Ralph Oyini Mbuna. I'm the Director of Digital Transformation at Smart Africa. I consider myself young. That's why I guess I was chosen to be with you today, to present Smart Africa. Here's the screen. So I'm going to try to introduce you to Smart Africa and its vision. Apologies, I'm a little bit late. I was stuck on another panel, but I really wanted to be here because I want you to remember one thing out of this presentation. Please do. Do what you love. Trust me, do what you love. That's the one thing that I want you to remember, and I will show you through this presentation of Smart Africa, and you're going to see the link. Good. Would it work? Good. But it doesn't show. I'm switching here, but it doesn't switch on the screen. Like this? Good. It still doesn't switch, huh? There we go. Good. Okay, so let me start with this slide. And I tell you the story of Smart Africa and what we do. African leaders sat one day and tried to change the way we do things, right? For many, many years, Africa, poverty, we facing challenges, it's difficult. Socio-economic development is not happening as fast as other continents. And those heads of state, when they sat together, they say this one thing. They say, in order to have true development, it has to be regional. In order to have true national development, it has to come from regional integration. Why? Because if you do like a business, you create a business, a startup, you can only sell to 20 million Malawi people. It's few when you look at the people that will truly buy your product. What happens when you can tap into the 1.4 billion people market size that is Africa? Now you're thinking Elon Musk, right? And this is what we're trying to do. So that when you create your digital solutions, you can sell it to the 1.4 million people, billion African people. Once you do this, you're going to improve quality of life of African citizens, because your solution will improve the lives of many Africans on the continent. When you do this, your business will grow. Guess what? You're going to hire people. You're going to create jobs. When you create jobs, this is how you end poverty. This is how you reach prosperity. So those heads of state that sat together in 2013, they did what we call the Smart Africa Manifesto. They endorsed the Smart Africa Manifesto and those 5 principles of the manifesto. The 5 principles is to put ICT, information communication technology, at the center of development, to improve broadband, to improve efficiency, openness through ICT, to put the private sector first. That is important. And that brings me to what the Honorable Minister was saying. If Malawi has a population of 20 million people, and 50% of those 20 million people are young, do we expect the 10 million people from Malawi to work for the government? No. That's why we say we put the private sector first, so we can create jobs for those 10 million people. Leverage ICT to promote sustainable development. And of course, the manifesto was endorsed by the African Union International Telecommunication in 2014. So Smart Africa is young as well, right? It's about 10 years old. Now, the vision of Smart Africa is to transform Africa into a single digital market. I said this, and how? By driving Africa's digital transformation. So the challenges, I think the panel covered those challenges. I'm not going to spend too much time on these. I identify here 3 main challenges that we see kind of across countries, including Malawi. Well, you have regulations, policies. DG of Macra was here and is the one that responded when there was like a question from, the gentleman here, and he's the one that responded, because regulations are key. If you're trying to reduce the cost of internet, if you're trying to make internet accessible for all, regulation is key. Second is infrastructures. You need infrastructures. If you don't have infrastructures, it's limited what you can do, right? You need smart devices to connect yourself to the internet, right? For example. Next is low level of digital skills. Well, even if I give you like a smartphone now, you need to know how to code it, right? To develop maybe like a mobile application, etc. So this comes with skills. So those are the main challenges. And we believe that if we overcome those challenges, we'll be able to reach the potential of single digital market. That image on the right is powerful. It's very powerful. What it shows you is Europe and Africa. Europe as an example. Intra-African trade represents approximately 18% of African exports. Intra-European trade represents approximately 69% of European exports. What does it mean, in your opinion? Concretely, what does it mean? Can someone give it a shot? What do you see behind those numbers? That is shocking. Anybody want to give it a shot? Don't worry, there is no stupid answer. All answers are good. Just like there is no stupid questions, they're all good. Nobody? Well, I tell you, if African countries sell and buy from each other only at 18%, where does the money go? It means like one day when you're going to work, 100% minus 18%, that's like what, 82%, right? That means when you're going to work, 82% of your money going to go outside of the continent. That's what it means. 82% of your money going to go outside of the continent. That represents in a way the flow of money. Europeans, they're very good at keeping the money within the continent. They're buying and selling from each other. African people, we're buying Nikes, Reebok, right? Buying Volkswagen. Money is going outside of the continent. How do you want like a people to reach prosperity, to have good quality of life, if 82% of your salaries are going outside? Right? Let's continue. I didn't mean to scare you. We're going to improve this. We will improve this. So the Smart Africa Alliance grew. It started as 7 areas of state. Now it's 39 member states. And of course, Malawi is here. We all Smart Africans. That's what it means. Smart Africa is not only member states, government, it's also the private sector. It's also like international organization. This is really cool. This is really cool. That's why I want you to come back to SADA, right? Whenever you see a SADA training comes, because I think that young lady said it well. This is an opportunity for you. SADA is connected to this whole network. You want to meet someone from Google? SADA. We have a SADA representative, we have a Google representative in SADA. Someday during the year, it will do like a training. You want to meet Facebook, Meta? SADA. You want to meet Microsoft? SADA. You see? So keep on coming to those training sessions. It's opportunities. And you have to catch them. This is the governance of Smart Africa. It's really cool. I love this job, you know. I get to sit like the board of Smart Africa is comprised of the heads of state of our member states. Is it not cool? I got to see and meet, even though like I didn't talk to him, like the president of Malawi, President Lazarus Chakwera. You see how cool it is? So you guys also will have a chance to do the same, right? Opportunities. This is the strategy of Smart Africa. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You can read it online. It's based on 3 main pillars supported by Accelerate. The first pillar is Connect. It's about like infrastructure, affordable infrastructure, internet cost, etc. The second pillar in orange is Innovate. That's like the Smart Africa Digital Academy. It's about teaching you, giving the skills to the African population to do more. The third pillar is Transform. That's the department that I'm heading, right? It's the coolest department in Smart Africa, let me tell you. At Transform, what we do is like we support entrepreneurs, tech-driven entrepreneurs. We support them in terms of funding. We support them in terms of mentorship. We support them in terms of networking with over bigger companies. We support them also in terms of governments, with the relationship with the governments. In that department, we do also digital platforms.
So you may ask yourself, what is the goal for the SADA for Youth project? So we want to create an enabling environment for our African youth, our entrepreneurs to thrive in the global technology ecosystem through digital skilling. I think you've witnessed what some of panelists from our DGs, delegates who've been in the panel emancipating how important it is to be digitally skilled. So the specific objectives is we want to increase digital technology competence among the youth population in Africa. We also want to increase the digital skilling and reskilling or upskilling the share of youth in the labor force so that we do not have job losses within the continent. And ultimately, we want to increase the digital entrepreneurship capabilities for the youth in Africa. So as SADA for Youth initiative, we are also offering key platforms for our African youth to tap into. One is our Smart Africa Digital Academy e-learning platform. You can be able to type in that URL and you'll be able to access courses online, free of charge, and this is to your benefit. We're also working on Digital Skills Marketplace. This is a platform to ensure that the industry and the population, especially the youth, get information about what is currently happening and how they can tap into the relevant opportunities in terms of working opportunities. So as achievements as SADA for Youth initiative, we have so far formed it's 4 youth chapters, now 5. I think this has not yet been updated. We have the youth chapter of Sierra Leone, Congo Brazzaville, the Republic of the Gambia, Djibouti, and now we have, through your efforts and through your warmth, we have the Malawi youth chapter being launched today. We've had 2,000 plus youth entrepreneurs trained on emerging technologies and advanced topics in ICT, and we've so far impacted 15 member states out of the 39 member states who signed up for the Smart Africa Alliance. So just to give you a brief about the vision about the youth chapter that we have today. So we want to foster a united, empowered, and vibrant community of young people who will actively contribute to the growth and development of their nation through digital and entrepreneurial skills, knowledge, and opportunities they need to thrive in an evolving digital world. And our mission, one, is to champion digital literacy, innovation, and entrepreneurship among the youth of Africa through competency-based skills. So just to give you a brief overview about how the youth chapter is structured, we are looking at young people from the age of 18 to 35 years old. And the key purpose of this platform is, one, it's a platform for education, it's a platform for collaboration, it's a platform for empowerment. We also want, through this platform, to impact practical skills, fostering collaboration and providing mentorship opportunities to our young people, because they are the future leaders of our generations to come. So the objectives of the youth chapter, one is skills enhancement through trainings, empowerment through knowledge and tools needed to leverage the digital technology, networking collaboration, mentorship through the Smart Africa Digital Academy network. So you may ask yourself, why the Smart Africa Youth Chapter? What are the benefits of this chapter? So as I mentioned, you'll get skills development opportunities through various platforms, through various trainings that we offer as Smart Africa Digital Academy. As you know, a key ingredient of, especially on our learning platform, e-learning platform, is certification and the digital badges, which can showcase your credentials in terms of your competency in this field that you are in. So you'll be able to have access to educational resources, you'll be able to have access to mentorship opportunities with our partners and stakeholders within the ecosystem. The youth chapter also provides networking opportunities through the Smart Africa Alliance. It will provide you leadership roles opportunity within the chapter as well, and enable you to participate in competitions such as hackathons and mentorship programs, etc. So those are a quick overview about the SADA for Youth initiative and the Smart Africa Youth Chapter project. So, and I want to pause here before we move on to the next segment. Thank you, and over to you, MC.
Thank you so much. According to our agenda, we shall have closing remarks. But after these closing remarks, we are not leaving quite yet because we still have a master class on empowering Africa youth, unleashing the potential of digital transformation. So let me ask Tokozani Timbe, our Director of Legal Services for MACRA, to give us a closing remarks, and then we'll have the master class.
Good evening to you all. Good evening to you all. I was starting to think that maybe we are going through the graveyard shift where everybody is quiet. Please, let's demonstrate that we are the youth and we are the future. Riding on the protocols already observed, I would firstly like to thank Smart Africa for this launch. I would specifically also like to thank the organizers of this launch, both from MACRA as well as from Smart Africa, for making this happen. And lastly, I would like to thank you, the youth, for being ready to take up the digital future. As it was already said by Director General Lasina Kone, that this is a call to action to be inspired, a call of action to take up the challenge of being the digital future for Malawi, not just for Malawi, but for the world as a whole. It has also been said that without a doubt, the future is digital. As Malawi, as Africa, you are our biggest asset. But you shall only be our biggest asset if you are able to adapt and to take up the digital skills that are being offered under SADA. You are lucky today that you have this particular resource. This is a resource that I would encourage each and every youth here to actually take time to go through and see what has actually been presented. This is where this is what you should be concentrating on. I was also very happy to hear some of the panelists saying that it's not about getting a degree. It's about for you to secure a job. It's about you getting the right digital skills to adapt to this digital future. There are so many examples that you can actually, we have seen. Mark Zuckerberg, a college dropout. Look what he has done. Elon Musk. Those are people who are not using their degrees, but their skills. Today, you might have nothing. You might not have a degree. But if you have the skills and develop something, you can instantly change. I keep on giving the example that if you look at this world today, the biggest company in the world for hotels is Alibaba. It's Airbnb. They don't even have a single hotel. They're leveraging on ICTs. The biggest network in the world is Facebook, WhatsApp. They don't have a physical infrastructure. They're leveraging on ICTs. There are so many examples. The biggest taxi company in the world is Uber. They don't even own a single taxi, but they're leveraging on ICTs. So these are just examples to you to show you that your only future is ICT. Even for us, for Malawi, we keep on saying that our only hope, our only way of leapfrogging is digital transformation. But we will rely on our biggest asset, which is the youth. But you are going to be our assets if you are going to take up the right digital skills. This youth chapter is one of the platforms where you can be able, that will empower you, that will provide you with the resources on how you can be assets to our digital future. Without much ado, I would like to say thank you everyone for being here and taking up the challenge. I'm 100% sure that you shall be our Malawian assets and you shall take up the challenge of making it happen for us. And to Smart Africa, on behalf of the Director General and the whole of MACRA, I would like to say thank you so much for making it happen for us. This is a journey that we are ready to take on, and we shall be your partners, and we shall ensure that our youth are empowered, and I'm 100% sure that today they have actually been inspired and motivated. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the closing remarks. At this point, I think I'll allow the President and other dignitaries, they can take their leave, as well as Tokozani Chimbe, Director of Legal Services for MACRA. Even from the ministry, I think we can allow them to leave, because this masterclass has been designed specifically for our youth. Maybe we can also take like 2 seconds to stretch. I know it's been a long afternoon, so this time we can get up, maybe grab a cup of tea and come back. So please, we've got tea at the back. Let us grab a cup of tea and come back for this master class as we set up for the... Is our presenter ready?
ushering in a transformative era for the youth, entrepreneurs, and SMEs across the continent. With the world's largest potential labor force by 2035, Africa is poised to become a major player in global goods and services production. SADA for Youth stands ready to harness this potential by providing cutting-edge strategies for youth education and skills development. According to the United Nations Population Fund, investing in human capital could boost Africa's GDP by $500 billion annually for 30 years. SADA takes this challenge head-on, aiming to be a catalyst for this economic leap. SADA for Youth objective is clear: to unlock employment opportunities for youth, transforming them into a digitally adaptive, skilled, and innovative workforce. Through competence-based training, we aim to reduce unemployment, increase digital entrepreneurship, and position Africa at the forefront of the global digital landscape. SADA for Youth is in tune with Smart Africa's vision of creating digitally connected continent with 3 goals: increasing digital technology competence, reducing youth unemployment through skilling, boosting digital entrepreneurship capabilities. This can only be achieved through establishing Smart Africa Youth chapters among all member states as a platform for access to competence-based training, curating and developing world-class content that position African youth in the right place to compete globally, providing access to mentorship through internships, creating an enabling environment for youth to access expert insight through masterclasses, grooming entrepreneur excellence and growth mindset mastery. Within a year of its implementation, SADA for Youth has successfully trained more than 700 young people across Africa in a wide array of subjects such as cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. Join us on this transformative journey where we don't just educate, we empower, innovate, and transform. Together, let's shape a digitally connected and empowered Africa. SADA for Youth, empowering youth, transforming futures. In a world where the future belongs to the digital savvy, Africa recognizes the urgency of inclusion and economic growth. The Smart Africa Digital Academy, SADA for Youth, emerges as a beacon, ushering in a transformative era for the youth, entrepreneurs, and SMEs across the continent. The world's largest potential labor force by 2035, Africa is poised to become a major player in global goods and services production. SADA for Youth stands ready to harness this potential by providing cutting-edge strategies for youth education and skills development. According to the United Nations Population Fund, investing in human capital could boost Africa's GDP by $500 billion annually for 30 years. SADA takes this challenge head-on, aiming to be a catalyst for this economic leap. SADA for Youth objective is clear: to unlock employment opportunities for youth, transforming them into a digitally adaptive, skilled, and innovative workforce. Through competence-based training, we aim to reduce unemployment, increase digital entrepreneurship, and position Africa at the forefront of the global digital landscape. SADA for Youth is in tune with Smart Africa's vision of creating digitally connected continent with 3 goals: increasing digital technology competence, reducing youth unemployment through skilling, boosting digital entrepreneurship capabilities. This can only be achieved through establishing Smart Africa Youth chapters among all member states as a platform for access to competence-based training, curating and developing world-class content that position African youth in the right place to compete globally, providing access to mentorship through internships, creating an enabling environment for youth to access expert insight through masterclasses, grooming entrepreneur excellence and growth mindset mastery. Within a year of its implementation, SADA for Youth has successfully trained more than 700 young people across Africa in a wide array of subjects such as cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. Join us on this transformative journey where we don't just educate, we empower, innovate, and transform. Together, let's shape a digitally connected and empowered Africa. SADA for Youth, empowering youth, transforming futures. In a world where the future belongs to the digital savvy, Africa recognizes the urgency of inclusion and economic growth. The Smart Africa Digital Academy, SADA for Youth, emerges as a beacon, ushering in a transformative era for the youth, entrepreneurs, and SMEs across the continent. With the world's largest potential labor force by 2035, Africa is poised to become a major player in global goods and services production. SADA for Youth stands ready to harness this potential by providing cutting-edge strategies for youth education and skills development. According to the United Nations Population Fund, investing in human capital could boost Africa's GDP by $500 billion annually for 30 years. SADA takes this challenge head-on, aiming to be a catalyst for this economic leap. SADA for Youth objective is clear: to unlock employment opportunities for youth, transforming them into a digitally adaptive, skilled, and innovative workforce. Through competence-based training, we aim to reduce unemployment, increase digital entrepreneurship, and position Africa at the forefront of the global digital landscape. SADA for Youth is in tune with Smart Africa's vision of creating digitally connected continent with 3 goals: increasing digital technology competence, reducing youth unemployment through skilling, boosting digital entrepreneurship capabilities. These can only be achieved through establishing Smart Africa Youth chapters among all member states as a platform for access to competence-based training, curating and developing world-class content that position African youth in the right place to compete globally, providing access to mentorship through internships, creating an enabling environment for youth to access expert insight through masterclasses, grooming entrepreneurial excellence and growth mindset mastery. Within a year of its implementation, SADA for Youth has successfully trained more than 700 young people across Africa in a wide array of subjects such as cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. Join us on this transformative journey where we don't just educate, we empower, innovate, and transform. Together, let's shape a digitally connected and empowered Africa. SADA for Youth, empowering youth, transforming futures. In a world where the future belongs to the digital savvy, Africa recognizes the urgency of inclusion and economic growth. The Smart Africa Digital Academy, SADA for Youth, emerges as a beacon, ushering in a transformative era for the youth, entrepreneurs, and SMEs across the continent. With the world's largest potential labor force by 2035, Africa is poised to become a major player in global goods and services production. SADA for Youth stands ready to harness this potential by providing cutting-edge strategies for youth education and skills development. According to the United Nations Population Fund, investing in human capital could boost Africa's GDP by $500 billion annually for 30 years. SADA takes this challenge head-on, aiming to be a catalyst for this economic leap. SADA for Youth objective is clear: to unlock employment opportunities for youth, transforming them into a digitally adaptive, skilled, and innovative workforce. Through competence-based training, we aim to reduce unemployment, increase digital entrepreneurship, and position Africa at the forefront of the global digital landscape. SADA for Youth is in tune with Smart Africa's vision of creating digitally connected continent with 3 goals: increasing digital technology competence, reducing youth unemployment through skilling, boosting digital entrepreneurship capabilities. These can only be achieved through establishing Smart Africa Youth chapters among all member states as a platform for access to competence-based training, curating and developing world-class content that position African youth in the right place to compete globally, providing access to mentorship through internships, creating an enabling environment for youth to access expert insight through masterclasses, grooming entrepreneurial excellence and growth mindset mastery. Within a year of its implementation, SADA for Youth has successfully trained more than 700 young people across Africa in a wide array of subjects such as cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. Join us on this transformative journey where we don't just educate, we empower, innovate, and transform. Together, let's shape a digitally connected and empowered Africa. SADA for Youth, empowering youth, transforming futures. In a world where the future belongs to the digital savvy, Africa recognizes the urgency of inclusion and economic growth. The Smart Africa Digital Academy, SADA for Youth, emerges as a beacon, ushering in a transformative era for the youth, entrepreneurs, and SMEs across the continent. With the world's largest potential labor force by 2035, Africa is poised to become a major player in global goods and services production. SADA for Youth stands ready to harness this potential by providing cutting-edge strategies for youth education and skills development. According to the United Nations Population Fund, investing in human capital could boost Africa's GDP by $500 billion annually for 30 years. SADA takes this challenge head-on, aiming to be a catalyst for this economic leap. SADA for Youth objective is clear: to unlock employment opportunities for youth, transforming them into a digitally adaptive, skilled, and innovative workforce. Through competence-based training, we aim to reduce unemployment, increase digital entrepreneurship, and position Africa at the forefront of the global digital landscape. SADA for Youth is in tune with Smart Africa's vision of creating digitally connected continent with 3 goals: increasing digital technology competence, reducing youth unemployment through skilling, boosting digital entrepreneurship capabilities. These can only be achieved through establishing Smart Africa Youth chapters among all member states as a platform for access to competence-based training, curating and developing world-class content that position African youth in the right place to compete globally, providing access to mentorship through internships, creating an enabling environment for youth to access expert insight through masterclasses, grooming entrepreneurial excellence and growth mindset mastery. Within a year of its implementation, SADA for Youth has successfully trained more than 700 young people across Africa in a wide array of subjects such as cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. Join us on this transformative journey where we don't just educate, we empower, innovate, and transform. Together, let's shape a digitally connected and empowered Africa. SADA for Youth, empowering youth, transforming futures. In a world where the future belongs to the digital savvy, Africa recognizes the urgency of inclusion and economic growth. The Smart Africa Digital Academy, SADA for Youth, emerges as a beacon, ushering in a transformative era for the youth, entrepreneurs, and SMEs across the continent. With the world's largest potential labor force by 2035, Africa is poised to become a major player in global goods and services production. SADA for Youth stands ready to harness this potential by providing cutting-edge strategies for youth education and skills development. According to the United Nations Population Fund, investing in human capital could boost Africa's GDP by $500 billion annually for 30 years. SADA takes this challenge head-on, aiming to be a catalyst for this.
Hello everyone.
SADA for Youth objective is
it okay if we can just settle down for about 30 minutes? Because we're supposed to go through a masterclass that's supposed to explain what is to come after you have become part of the youth chapter. So it won't take much of your time. For those who will be able to attend, you can attend. Thank you.
Smart Africa's vision of creating digitally connected continent with 3 goals: increasing digital technology competence, reducing youth unemployment through skilling, boosting digital entrepreneurship capabilities. These can only be achieved through establishing Smart Africa Youth chapters among all member states as a platform for access to competence-based training, curating and developing world-class content.
Good afternoon, good evening everyone. Please continue to grab your snacks and come and sit down with your food. I'm going to try to save us as much time as possible because I also have some commitments immediately after this. My name is Onika Makwakwa. I am the Executive Director at the Global Digital Inclusion Partnership. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what the Global Digital Inclusion Partnership is all about. I'm going to go through a few slides. I will not talk to every slide. However, I am sure the organizers will make the presentation available for you to digest at your own time and at your own pace. So if I could have the slides projected, please. So today I'm going to talk about the rising suns, Africa's youth in the digital economy. And you will understand a few slides in why the rising suns and who are the rising suns. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the work that I do. I work at the intersection of technology and policy. Does that make sense for anyone? Intersection of technology and policy, meaning that a lot of the work that I do is advising governments and international organizations on acceptable and appropriate policies to adopt in order to enable technology. So for example, many of us are very concerned as we go towards AI about protection of our data. So what kind of policies should government think about in advance to make sure that we have those protections? But most of what I work for is around advancing meaningful connectivity for the global majority. And when I say global majority, I mean continents like Africa, Asia, and Latin America. So people who live in the global south, what used to be known as the global south. And so our mission is really driving meaningful connectivity to make sure that there's digital inclusion and we are not leaving anyone behind as society is busy digitizing itself. So Kofi Annan once said, "The future belongs to the young. It is a rising sun. It starts low, but it rises to fill the sky." So I'm sure by now you know who are the rising suns. Any guess? Youth, all of you sitting here, the rising suns. It starts low and it rises to fill the sky. And hold on to that thought, because sometimes when you talk about what's happening in digital technologies, it may sound very negative. Sometimes we might be told that our continent is behind. Sometimes we are told, and I'm going to tell you some of that as well, but I wanted to hold on to the notion that the sun starts low and rises to fill the sky, because that's actually a challenge to all of you, each one of you sitting here. That is the challenge that you carry for our continent into the future. Now, I hope I don't need to tell any one of you who Kofi Annan is, but if you don't know who Kofi Annan is, please do look him up. He is the former Secretary General of the United Nations, an African son of Ghana. Digital inclusion. In sub-Saharan Africa, youth is 70% of the population, meaning that 7 out of 10 people who live in our continent are under the age of 30. So we are a very young continent. We have a lot of suns, rising suns in this continent. And very soon, that will be the majority youth population of the world. So what we do today and the choices we make today are very important in shaping the future of the world. However, with all of that, there's still 2.6 billion people globally who are offline. 2.6 billion people remain offline. In Africa, 60% of Africans are offline. Meaning that if I put an ad on Facebook or on X or any other platform to say there are 100 free courses you can register for at Harvard University, only 2 out of 5 Africans have access to that information and the opportunity to be able to transform their lives through following that.
So I share this with you not to discourage you, but to also help you understand that in addition to consuming the digital technologies, I want to see you as the generation that cares about the 3 out of 5 people who are left behind. I want you to be the generation that cares about making sure that we leave no one behind, and that as society continues to digitize, we have a responsibility to carry everyone along with us. We have a very low internet usage in the continent. In addition to having low penetration in terms of people who have access to the infrastructure for accessing the internet, we also have a very high usage gap. What we call a usage gap is the number of people who live near the internet, who have access to the internet from an infrastructure point of view, but are actually not using the internet. There's several reasons for that. I think one of them you heard about, the cost, is a big one, right? Internet connectivity is very costly. The cost of the devices sometimes is very expensive. Sometimes one entry-level device can cost as much as a microwave for a family, so you have to make decisions about whether you're going to buy this device for every person in the household or only 1 or 2 people are going to have that. These are issues that when you choose a career like mine, where you focus on policy and digitization, you are able to then begin to really study some of these issues and get yourself in a position where you can be influential by helping to advance policies that can make sure that we are inclusive in our development. Although we are told that Africa is a mobile-first and mobile-only continent. And mobile-first, we mean that, with 61% of mobile device ownership in the continent, most people experience the internet for the first time through their mobile phone. They've never used the internet on a laptop, on a desktop. The only knowledge of the internet they have is through the smartphone. That's wonderful. It's a great first step, right? However, I want us to challenge this notion of being a mobile-only continent. Because how many of you have taken a coding class? Please raise your hand. If anyone has ever taken a computer coding class, have you ever coded on your smartphone? Keep your hand up. You are coding on your smartphone. Some hands went down, right? And let me tell you why. It's really important for us to position ourselves to be digital innovators and go beyond just simple consumption. So mobile first is important because it gets that introduction, but we have to challenge ourselves to go beyond mobile so that we are able to be the ones who write the platforms, who design the Ubers, that are more relevant for us as opposed to always taking them after they've been developed elsewhere. So I'm going to move a little bit away from the divide. I think you get the picture that, yes, we are connected, it's wonderful, but many of your peers cannot afford this connectivity. Some of you cannot afford the connectivity every day for the whole entire month. You might have a day when somebody sends you a WhatsApp and they're like, hey, you didn't respond. You're like, oh, I didn't have credit, I didn't have data, right? And it happens to all of us, actually. It happens to people who are working as well, who are employed and earning, because the cost of data is expensive. And so it's important for youth and for other folks to really focus on digital activism so that you begin to shape countries' policies to make sure that we create affordability. The same way that we said that water is a basic human right, and we said electricity is a basic human right, we need to start to think about when government is digitizing and putting everything online and saying that, register online in order to get a vaccine, which is something you need to stay healthy and protected. What does it mean in terms of making sure that every citizen has the resources to be able to connect online? So what is meaningful connectivity? Post-COVID, the divide still remains between those who are connected and those who are not connected. But a new divide is amongst those who are connected. How many of you have spent time online trying trying to get information or download something and it's just simply not downloading or taking forever or buffering. It happens to me as well. Unless you have a really fast connection, right? So we have to fight for everyone to not just be connected, but to be connected in a meaningful way, where if you couldn't come to Umozi Park today, you could sit at home and connect and be part of this conversation and not lose a beat in that. And what is that going to take? It's going to take making sure that we adopt a standard for minimum speed at 4G level at minimum. I know 2G still works, I know 3G still works, but it's super slow. Try taking a class or writing an exam on 2G speed. Frustrating at best. 4G minimum level. We need to make sure that everyone has access to a smartphone. I know we still use a lot of feature phones, but we are limited in terms of being able to use the internet and benefit from the transformative opportunities that we can access on the internet. Smart Africa is talking about you innovating, creating apps, joining tech hubs. You need an appropriate device in order to do so, and we need to push upon our government to make sure that these devices are actually affordable, right? We need to make sure that we have access to the internet on a daily basis when we need to. And we need to actually also make sure that we've got relevant content for this connectivity. We must also make sure that we have appropriate digital skills. There's something going on with the fonts and the laptop, so you will get a clean version that's got the proper spelling, including my name. But you know, making sure that we've got proper digital skills. And these digital skills are very different now. You know, we don't want everyone to get online to be on Facebook. Not that there's anything wrong with being on Facebook. I love being on Facebook. But we want to make sure that young people have skills that will enable them to be innovators. What are these skills? You know, the ability to search and find information is very critical. Developing analytical skills, developing critical thinking skills and decision-making skills, by the way. This notion of the tentative generation, let's leave it behind. In order for you to code, one of the things you have to be able to do is to be able to analyze information that you have and make a decision and be firm on that decision, be able to justify that decision, right? We're looking for creativity, we're looking for data literacy, meaning that you are able to take data, analyze it, and be able to, you know, say, I'm getting this kind of information, it means this, and we can use it in order to inform this next process. So analytical skills, good thinking skills, decision-making skills. We need what I like to call internet hygiene, safety skills. It's our responsibility to keep each other safe. I'm going to speak specifically to women in this group. Women and girls are harassed online. We have created an environment where the same violence that women and girls experience in our regular lives, they are now experiencing it online, because we want to punish them for being outspoken, behaving like they know a lot. Things that we reward boys for, girls are dragged for it. When they are confident, when they raise their hand to be part of a particular leadership opportunity. So next time I see you at any Smart Africa event, I want to see as many girls as there are here, and I want to see them also still sitting on the front row and not sitting by themselves in a corner. It's really important for us to create the society that we want. We are the future. Right? And that rests with us to be able to make sure that we disrupt this gender exclusion within this technology space as well. We need, you know, these skills, we need effective communication skills, and that doesn't include harassing each other. It's great to be articulate on Twitter, but it's also important for us to be responsible with how we communicate and engage with each other on these platforms. And we need function skills. So meaningful connectivity, being meaningfully connected means that you've got the right device, you've got the right skill, you've got the speed, and you've got the content as well to engage with, right? So that it can facilitate meaningful use of your connectivity. We are not connecting online for vibes, people. It's not for vibes. I mean, the vibes are great. So I always say it's, 80-20 rule. 80% is really you building your civil self. You are a civil citizen who's got responsibilities, and you are building an early career. So look at your social media and say 80% of it, I gotta be serious. The other 20% of it, it is social. We want to laugh. So keep it social. I'm cool with that. But just know that for me as an employer, any single time I'm about to interview someone and I see a resume and they're scheduled for an interview, and I know we are told never to do this, but guess what? We are human. We all do it. I put that name on Google, and if I don't hit anything, I go over on Facebook. By the time you walk in my door for an interview, I have formulated an opinion about you, right? I have formulated an opinion about how your use of language. I have formulated an opinion about how you present yourself to the public. It's a public space. It's social, yes, but also I like the fun stuff because it also tells me that you've got an emotional IQ to be able to navigate a space where you can be serious and still be entertaining at the same time. Your generation is the one that started all of this, so you got the pressure to actually keep it up, right? And make sure that we have meaningful use of these devices and we are not harassing each other off the devices as well. I just want to show you that even though there's these divides, there's actually, I personally, I was reluctant initially to take on this role because I don't like speaking to youth. Not because they're not wonderful, but because I have been privileged to sit in places and be in places where I have learned so much from youth. So I really honestly believe and hope that you take this role seriously to know that it is a two-way street. The internet gives us an opportunity for intergenerational learning where you can learn from us and we can learn from you as well. And I take that very seriously. And I'm featuring this particular, I don't know if you recognize any of these logos, but these are African innovations that were innovated by African youth. Do you know any of them? If anyone can recognize any one of them, there I see one hand. Please look up these companies, study their foundation. They often say, it's often said that scarcity is the mother of invention. Stop looking at Amazon and trying to create the next Amazon of Africa. Go to the market. Go to the market in Lilongwe. Go to the market in Blantyre. Go to the market in Mzimba. And think about what you can innovate, inspired by what you see there. So these companies, I'll give you just a few highlights. Ushahidi is actually the foundation of what we now know as crowdsourcing information. It was created by young people in Kenya when violence broke out during the elections, and they used the internet to map the violent hotspots and warn others about it. It might not be as popular now, but several things have grown out of that invention. For example, Harassmap in Egypt is one of the biggest harass maps we have, where women took the map of Cairo and started plotting areas where women get harassed when they walk on the street as a way to warn each other as well. We have Harassmap in South Africa as well, and that all came from Ushahidi more than 10 years ago. You've got Piggy Vest, which is out of Nigeria, and it's a savings app that enables people to save. Most of us have parents who give each other money once a month, and then this month they all give money to the other one, another month they give money to the other one. What is the opportunity for innovation around that? And let's think about those kinds of things. And lastly, an opportunity for youth that has really inspired me is that youth in Africa are leading in the development of and support and maintenance of community networks. Has anyone ever heard of community networks? There's actually one here in Malawi. Please look it up. It's a community-owned network. The same way that when a village does not have water, the villagers come together and they build a well to provide water for themselves and each other. Several communities have come together to build their own networks. The two that are featured here, please do look them up. One is Zenzeleni, which means do it yourself. It's a network, community-owned network. It's almost 10 years old now in South Africa. It's a village that's got less than 300 homes where young people literally used a shipping container to build their own network. It's a mesh network using Wi-Fi. You can learn so much of this even on YouTube, but you don't even have to do that. There's a whole association of community networks that helps people start community networks. What we have learned about community networks is that young people no longer have a need to leave the village to move to the city where there might not even be employment, but they are actually the ones who get to be the network operators in their villages. It's a really cool opportunity to be the big fish in a small pond, providing connectivity, making sure every house in the village has a network, setting up solar panels so that everyone has a means to be able to charge their devices and still be able to access the internet. Community networks are a game changer, and young people have been at the forefront of these. There's actually one, the second picture that you see is actually here in Malawi. It's actually a group called World Association of Christian Communities or something. I think that's the name of the organization that leads this particular one. But that's your challenge and your homework to really find out, how does this work? And where is my space within this? We might not all end up being the network engineers. We might end up being the one who designs, the ones who sets up the rules, the one who is the salesperson to convince all the people in the community that we must come together and sign up and do this for ourselves. So I'm going to leave you with that, to say that let our African sons continue to rise from a low point. It may seem like we are far behind. We've been told that the continent is going to leapfrog. Some people have said we are going to moonshot, but I'm quite confident that we are going to rise, and that rise is going to come with our youth. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. This is yours. This is mine.
All right, we've finally come to the end of our launch today. As the director from Macra had said, we want to thank you for being with us until the very end, which we are launching, when we had our master class. So I wish you a blessed evening, and I hope next time when we say we are having something that's youth-centric, you are also going to register, and you're also going to be with us. Thank you.
To mentorship through internships, creating an enabling environment for youth to access expert insight through masterclasses, grooming entrepreneur excellence and growth mindset mastery. Within a year of its implementation, SADA for Youth has successfully trained more than 700 young people across Africa in a wide array of subjects such as cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. Join us on this transformative journey where we don't just educate, we empower, innovate, and transform. Together, let's shape a digitally connected and empowered Africa. SADA for Youth, empowering youth, transforming futures. In a world where the future belongs to the digital savvy, Africa recognizes the urgency of inclusion and economic growth. The Smart Africa Digital Academy, SADA for Youth, emerges as a beacon, ushering in a transformative era for the youth, entrepreneurs, and SMEs across the continent. With the world's largest potential labor force by 2035, Africa is poised to become a major player in global goods and services production. SADA for Youth stands ready to harness this potential by providing cutting-edge strategies for youth education and skills development. According to the United Nations Population Fund, investing in human capital could boost Africa's GDP by $500 billion annually for 30 years. SADA takes this challenge head-on, aiming to be a catalyst for this economic leap. SADA for Youth objective is clear: to unlock employment opportunities for youth, transforming them into a digitally adaptive, skilled, and innovative workforce. Through competence-based training, we aim to reduce unemployment, increase digital entrepreneurship, and position Africa at the forefront of the global digital landscape. SADA for Youth is in tune with Smart Africa's vision of creating digitally connected continent with 3 goals: increasing digital technology competence, reducing youth unemployment through skilling, boosting digital entrepreneurship capabilities. This can only be achieved through establishing Smart Africa Youth chapters among all member states as a platform for access to competence-based training, curating and developing world-class content that position African youth in the right place to compete globally, providing access to mentorship through internships, creating an enabling environment for youth to access expert insight through masterclasses, grooming entrepreneurial excellence and growth mindset mastery. Within a year of its implementation, SADA for Youth has successfully trained more than 700 young people across Africa in a wide array of subjects such as cloud, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. Join us on this transformative journey where we don't just educate, we empower, innovate, and transform. Together, let's shape a digitally connected and empowered Africa. SADA for Youth, empowering youth, transforming futures.